back to this new video tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to calculate the standard deviation and coefficient of variation in Microsoft Excel. The standard deviation and coefficient of variation both are used for calculating the degree of variability or dispersion in the data set. But the difference is standard deviation cannot compare two or more data sets, but the coefficient of variation can compare two or more data sets. First of all, let's look into the standard deviation. As I already told you, the standard deviation calculates the degree of variability in the data. It is the difference of the data from its mean value. So here to calculate the standard deviation, we have two functions in Excel. One is standard deviation for population and other is standard deviation for the sample. If your data represents the whole data, then you have to use standard deviation of population. If your data is a sample data that is randomly taken from a big data set, then you have to use the standard deviation for sample function. So here our data is the whole data, so use the standard deviation for population. Press equal to, type std. This will suggest you the two function, standard deviation dot p and standard deviation dot s. So choose this standard deviation for population function, then select the number range or the data range, close bracket, press enter. Now you got the result of 5.42. The result of the standard deviation can range from 0 to any number. There is no any upper limit, but the result cannot be negative. If all the quantity sold here is same, then the result of the standard deviation will be 0. Here let me make all the numbers same. Then here you see the result of the standard deviation is given as 0 because there is no any variation or dispersion in the data. Now if I make change here in the data, then the standard deviation starts to rise. Here let me make it 13, then 20. You see the standard deviation rises as the variability in the data rise. So the interpretation of the result of the standard deviation is, if it is near to 0 like 1, 2, 3, then we can say that there is no any significant difference in the data from its mean value. But if the standard deviation is in higher side, then we can say that there is significant difference in the data from its mean value. So let me go back to the previous state here, and let's calculate the standard deviation for the second data set here. Press equal to, use the standard deviation dot population function, select the quantity sold range of refrigerator, press enter. Now the standard deviation for this data is 5.95. Now by looking into these two results, we cannot make any comparison here. To make the comparison in the variability or dispersion in two or more data set, we have to calculate the coefficient of variation, and the coefficient of variation is calculated by dividing the mean value from its standard deviation, and the result is expressed in the percentage format. So here let's calculate the mean value of all these numbers by using the average function. Bracket open, then select the quantity sold range, close bracket. This is the average or the mean value of these numbers. Now simply copy this and paste it here, which will calculate the mean value for this data set. And here to calculate the coefficient of the variation, press equal to, click on standard deviation divided by, click on the mean value multiplied with 100. This multiplied with 100 is to convert this into percentage. Now the coefficient of variation is 37.38% for this data. Now if you calculate the coefficient of variation for the second data, press equal to, click on the standard deviation divided by its mean multiplied with 100. So here the coefficient of variation of the sales of the refrigerator is less than the CV of sales of television. Now we can say that the dispersion in sales of refrigerator is less than the dispersion in sales of television. So this is the way of calculating and interpreting the result of standard deviation and coefficient of variation in Microsoft Excel. If this tutorial is useful, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and turn all the notification on so that you will never miss similar kind of video updates in future. Thanks for watching. We will again meet on next video tutorial.